Driver Jamie, podcast questions. What are your thoughts on how far the Moto Academy has come since its inception? Is it where you, this can be a cool question to answer. Is it where you expected to be? Where do you think it will be 5 years from now? Will there be racers out of a rig in your idea? Question mark. Driver Jamie, great question. That's the type of question I like to play with because it's makes me think about the future a little bit here while I answer it. Any thoughts on how far the Moto Academy has come since its inception? Is it where you expected to be? Oh, well, no, if depending on what year you'd asked me, then that answer would change very much. So upon its inception, so let's reverse back to 2016. If you had asked me where would it be? No, I would have guessed way low on that. Now, had you asked me 2 or 3 years ago where it would be, by 2024, I might have actually gone the opposite direction. I might have even overshot where we are now in 2024. What's the saying? Humans they tend to overestimate what you can accomplish in a year and underestimate what you can accomplish in 10 years. That's not the exact year amount on that quote, but the saying in itself is true. In a relatively short amount of time, I really do think we as humans tend to think that we can do way more than what is actually possible. But then when it comes to the 5-year and the 10-year and the 20-year plans, I think people grossly underestimate their capabilities. So, which what I just said, I guess, just backs that up. Where do you think it will be 5 years from now? Well, Driver Jamie, you're trying to get me canceled again because I just tried to answer that with dirt bike stuff, and people didn't like that very much. Where do you think it will be 5 years from now? The Moto Academy. Okay. Cancel me. We'll have our first physical community, without question. 5 years from now, I'll also be deep into getting into racing, which means I'll need the most competitive bike possible, which will mean we'll have to have different tiers of the Moto Academy team. We'll have the private tier team, which basically what we're operating now out of a nice Sprinter van, probably pulling a double axle trailer or something. You can have a private tier team, which can all be maybe like the coaches that I train to ride Supercross that will be living at the facility. So that would be like that cool dynamic there. I think maybe have the amateur team, which can be the same setup that goes to the amateur races. And then you could have the factory team, which, you know, you have the semi, and then you have that next step up in bikes that can win championships, which in 5 years down the road, I would be on that team. And we'd have a couple of our other top 5, top 10 contenders on that squad as well. What else? I could start getting specific when it comes to dollar figure amounts and subscriber count goals for that far out, but I don't need to say those. Amount of employees, I'd say in 5 years, the goal would be to be no more than 20 employees in 5 years, because our goal is to try to keep it really tight knit and highly efficient with a small team. I don't want to, although I scaled the first 10 quickly, I want to be really, 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 really strategic in how and where we place the next 10. So I think maybe it took 1 year to get 10. It's going to take 5 years to get the next 10. Just a guess. Could not end up that way, but I think that's sort of what I'm thinking. Yeah, good question, Driver Jamie. If you guys enjoyed this podcast clip and you want to listen to full episodes, you can do so on Spotify and Apple Music. If you want to send in your own video submission, you can join us in the Moto Academy family inside of the Moto Academy app by just going to themotoacademy.com. That's also where you can sign up for a class. Okay, guys, see you next episode.